Jesus, Jesus, all I want is to be like you.
Temptation is a lot like Krispy Kreme donuts and an apple. These Krispy Kreme donuts are delicious. I know they're delicious because I've had many in my day. The thing though is, I've got a choice to make as to what I'm going to eat for breakfast this morning. Do I want delicious, baked with love, covered in sugar Krispy Kreme donuts? Or do I want an apple? See, right now, what's the most pleasing thing to me would be this right here, a Krispy Kreme donut. This is still tasty, but when you compare an apple to Krispy Kreme donuts, in my opinion, there's just no comparison. The donut wins. The thing is that I know an hour from now, 2 hours from now, I'm gonna look back on what I chose to eat for breakfast. This may be pleasing to me right now, but an hour or two from now, I'm gonna be really upset with myself if I chose the donut over an apple. 2 hours from now, if I chose the apple, I'm gonna be satisfied in the type of thing that I chose to put in my body. Temptation works like that. Temptation, it has this lure to where it wants you to take what looks the best at the moment. But what looks best at the moment for you in your life may not actually be the best thing for you. At the moment, an apple will be the best thing for me. So thanks for being here for another Connect Group video. Just really briefly, I'm going to hit the highlights of Pastor Pep's sermon from Sunday morning. So if you got your sermon notes, let's just go over them. So Pep talked about how there's 7 observations concerning temptation that he wanted us to focus on. So let's just go over them. Observation number 1 is that temptations are the primary reason you desire to sin. So temptations are the primary reason. So what that means is when it comes to sinning, a lot of times we're being tempted. Now temptation is not a sin, but what is a sin is the fact that when you act on the temptation. And that is the primary reason as to why we sin. It's an opportunity for us to be tested in our faith. Observation number 2 is that temptations are particularly dangerous when you think you can't fall. So there's this big thing called pride, and pride comes before the fall, so it's very important that you understand that without the Holy Spirit, without God, you cannot conquer temptations. You need Him. Observation number 3 is that temptations seek to overtake you. Observation number 4 is that temptations you experience are never unique, but always common. You know, and we've talked about this in the past about temptations and how there's different temptations that are out there. Things that are tempting to me, such as a Krispy Kreme donut, may not be tempting for you. You know, for me in my life, I'm not tempted to do drugs. That's just like never been a thing for me to be tempted in. I grew up watching my grandfather tote around an oxygen tank because of the amount of smoking that he did in his life. And so as a kid, I watched that and I knew that's not something that I wanted to go through. And so drugs have never been a temptation of mine. You know, at the same time, alcohol has not been a temptation of mine. It's not something that I'm tempted with. You know, I grew up watching my older brother who is an alcoholic. And basically in my life, I watched what he did, and I knew if I did the opposite, I would turn out better. And so alcohol. Plus, I don't even like the taste of it. I'd much rather have a slushie from Sonic. But that's just me. I'm not tempted to drink. And some of you that may be a thing for you. You go to a friend's house and there's a lot of alcohol around, and you cannot be around it because you know that it will lead to things that you don't need to be dealing with. You're tempted in that area. Gambling would be another thing. I'm not tempted to gamble. It's not something that the devil uses to try to lure me away from God. Maybe I'm a cheapskate. I don't really know what you would say, but for me, if you were to go to a casino, I would see how big and magnificent the casino was, and at the end of the day, I would know who is the winner, and it would not be me. And so it's just not something that I've ever really been tempted with. But the things that I am tempted with are different than things that you may be tempted with. They're all unique, but at the same time, they can be common. We all struggle with different things, but you're going to find a lot of people, even in your Connect groups, are dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. Let's see, observation number 5. Temptations aren't allowed to go beyond your ability because of God's faithfulness. God will not give you a temptation that you cannot handle. So say you're going through something right now and you're like, I just don't understand how I could be tempted with something so strong. You need to take that as a compliment from God. Because if he is allowing a temptation to come upon you that is so strong with you, you need to know that God believes in you, that you can conquer that temptation. So take it as a compliment. Observation number 6 is that temptations are always accompanied by the Lord's way of escape. There is always another route to take, another door to go when it comes to temptations. Krispy Kreme donuts. I don't have to eat them. I bought them. And it's going to haunt me all day, the fact that I bought Krispy Kreme donuts. And if I eat one, I'm going to feel really guilty because I'm having a video about how I should be eating the apple. The apple's my door. It's my escape. I can eat the apple for breakfast just fine. And so observation number 7 is that temptations cannot extend beyond what you can endure. Temptations at times are not just this brief 5-second thing. They can last for a long time. A temptation can last for an entire day. It can last for an entire week. Pepe even mentioned in a sermon, it can last as long as a year. Some of you may feel like you've been enduring this for a decade. But the thing that you can hold on to is that God has promised that he will never give you a temptation and have it endure longer than what he knows you can endure. So you can take victory in that. So temptations, man, great thing to talk about in your Connect groups. I realize you've only been meeting now. This will be the 4th week, unless the ice storm for some of you, maybe the 3rd week that you've been meeting. So it's time to get serious in your groups. As you talk about Connect groups and as you talk about temptations that you're dealing with, get real, get open with your group and learn how you can grow and sharpen one another in this process. So I've got a choice to make. Am I going to go for the donut or am I going to go for the apple? So I think my decision has been made.